So why am I sitting on the hood of this beautiful 1970s Dodge Challenger? Well, one reason only, and that's because of this. Driver, it's been a while. Can you sort of just discuss why we're back in San Francisco?
I can take this one.
All right. Well, San Francisco is a great driving city, very iconic, very diverse as well. Marine County, all the dirt tracks and everything, all the hills in San Francisco, downtown, the Embarcadero. Very iconic, very, very fun city for driving.
The game's being in development now for 4 to 5 years. Can we just go back to the start and sort of discuss what the ideas were? What was the thought process behind resurrecting Driver?
I might try that one. First was how to get back to the driving, to the core of what made Driver absolutely exceptional back on the PS1. And we then thought about this idea of having some kind of a Google map where you could actually dive in and select any car and then reproduce that whenever you want. That were the core ideas where we started everything. And after that, the story came in. And all the rest that you could enjoy today.
Okay, and we'll talk about that dream world for part, because as we know, obviously enough, Tanner is in an accident right at the start of the game, and then we're dropped into it. Talk about the sort of concepts behind that, about the idea behind it, and how that embellishes the gameplay experience.
I think we wanted to keep the cop movie feel, but at the same time bring something that would justify this dream state, as you were saying. And it was a long process with the writers to find the right balance, because we really wanted to keep that gritty feeling that is part of the Driver experience. And then we kind of found this element, and the coma, as you know, when you're in a coma you kind of dream, and it's an alternate reality, but it's grounded in reality, in the reality of the character, of the one in the coma. So that was, I think, the best device to match, to bring together the cop thing and the fantasy element. After that, the biggest challenge was to create missions around that, with the driving at the core, but with the shifting into it. And we spent a lot of time and effort to find the right balance, to keep the driving as the core, but to have this new device that brings a lot of freshness and new tactics and new missions, in fact.
And can we just sort of talk about the missions? We've seen a few of them playing today. Obviously enough, you're hot swapping between, obviously enough, the sort of catching the criminal element by driving a police car. What's the range of missions we can expect to see from Driver?
Huge range. Obviously, racing, getting away from cops, playing as cops, taking down racers or criminals, stunts, smashing things, finding your way around as fast as possible, and definitely a lot of investigation, tailing.
No, there is really a lot. I mean, we came up with so many different missions to serve the story also, you know, to make the story go forward while you're playing. So that gave us plenty of opportunities to go beyond just the plain racing and chasing things. So it's really a diverse experience. Yeah.
And one of the other things we saw, you jump into a variety of different vehicles. There's also a bit of conversation going on with Tanner and the passenger. How much does that interplay play into the actual game? Is that just a little bit of extra sort of content there for?
It evolves over the course of the game, definitely, as the city becomes more and more aware of what's going on in the citywide manhunt that Tanner is on for Jericho. People start talking about it more. Also, you know, Tanner in his hospital room will be hearing things, people talking, and that'll affect what's going on in his dream. So at first, what we call life in a bubble, essentially when you shift into a car and you have a conversation with somebody, it's a little bit of comic relief, it's a little bit of diversity, but more and more it gets involved in the actual story, in the actual manhunt and the investigation, and it helps Tanner make connections and figure out where Jericho is and what he's up to.
And it's creating very crazy moments. You're in a chase, but suddenly you need to use another car, so you get into a civilian car, and there's this girl saying, "Oh, Daddy, I'm so happy with this new car," and Tanner says, "Ah, sorry, I may damage it," and then boom, you smash into somebody with it. So it's another layer of comedy, and it brings a freshness that I think we've never seen in these kind of games.
And one thing we really should talk about is the cars, because it wouldn't be Driver without the cars. And 140, I believe, 140 licensed vehicles. Can we sort of talk about why and what cars were chosen, and the sort of like breakdown of what ones would work for a game?
Well, we chose cars not necessarily based on one particular set of criteria. We wanted cars that were really iconic, really memorable, not necessarily the fastest or most luxurious. We wanted people to see cars, just driving around, see cars that resonate with them. Cars that my mom used to drive, and I want to take that and jump off, you know, the big hills of San Francisco and that sort of thing. Cars that you've seen in movies, obviously, the Hollywood car chase, iconic cars. Just really a variety of the ones that will really resonate with you.
Driver has this 70s feeling, but it has never been anchored in an era. So we took this opportunity here to bring back the muscle cars, but also to bring a wide array. So you have rally cars, you have buggy cars, you have super high-end sports cars, and it brought us such a wide array that we could also create a lot of missions with a very different feel in terms of what you're driving.
Because you can choose the car you want all the time, well, you can also purchase them so you have access to the ones always. Some of the challenge is choosing the right car for the right purpose, and it's not always the fastest, that's the best one. And also choosing the right place in the city to do something, because San Francisco is so diverse that you know, some of the challenges are about testing your knowledge of the city and which car is going to be best for it. So we needed variety for that.
Can you talk a little bit about multiplayer? Touch upon it. What can people expect?
It's incredibly, it's a huge part of the game. There's 19 different modes, online and offline, multiplayer. And what Shift brings to the multiplayer is an incredibly frantic aspect. It's very JS compared it to an FPS before, and it really brings that aspect, because you can be driving along and you know, just deciding to shift into a car and completely change the game, completely change the kind of handling that you're having and the kind of strategy you're going to use with a different car. So it's extremely fast-paced, and it's not like anything we've ever seen in multiplayer for driving games.
Yeah. You know, when you're playing a race online, if you're not very good, you're going to find yourself in the last place, and that's it. And you can just finish the race and be just unhappy. With what we bring with the Shift, you can try other things to get back into the action. And yeah, the FPS analogy was mentioned by Martin when he was talking about capture the flag. So we have plenty of modes that could not be done in a standard driving game without this device enabling you to jump from one car to the other. So it's really exciting, really.
$1 million question to wrap up. Why should gamers pick up Driver come this September?
Because there's nothing like it. There aren't any other car games, driving games, where you have that kind of handling, that kind of visceral fun from the handling, that are story-driven, that have such an involving story happening on many levels, like in Inception, a buddy cop story as well, an investigation, all these destroyable licensed cars that you know, are picked for their resonance and their variety. I don't think you're going to find anything else out there like it.
Yeah, it's a frantic action driving game inspired by Hollywood car chases, and yeah, as a gamer, I'm eager to play it.
Yeah. Guys, thank you very much indeed for taking the time. That's really us today. Driver San Francisco out in September.